Hello, hello, hello. All right, guys. So, welcome to the show. It is Thursday. We're going to be analyzing another fight today. This one was recommended to me by someone in the comments, so this one's for you, man. Recommended Armin Hadipourseigalani. Sengalani. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's all I got. He is the 2017 World Silver Medalist. He lost to Kim Tae-hoon. And I actually had a hard time kind of finding some of his fights and I finally was able to find some. First one we're gonna watch is him against Ramnarong, then him and Jesus from Spain, and then finally him against Kim Tae-hoon in the Manchester Grand Prix. And I actually don't really watch too much fin and flyweight divisions. These are fin weights right now. They're competing in Olympic fly because I mean the game is much different than it is a heavyweight division, and so sometimes for my own personal sake, I don't normally watch the fights just because I feel like what they do in the game may not be applicable to what I'm doing. However, I did watch these guys fights, and I'm very impressed by this fighter because he's shorter than most of his fighters, most of his opponents, and still dictates the match. What I've noticed from watching his fights, a couple of his fights this week, was his front leg, both in speed, power, and dexterity, is off the charts, dude. This guy is so freaking fast. It commands like his own little genre. He's kind of like an X factor. He's excellent at dictating the pace of the match, which is what he does to Ramarong. He does that to Spain, and he changes it up a little bit against Taehun. But in general, it seems like this guy's the one who dictates when the engagements are going to happen and what he wants to happen during the match. Um, what he also does very well, which I think is innate in some fighters and not in others, and kind of just put a label on it. It's he knows where he's good and he knows where he isn't good. He knows usually as a smaller fighter, you'd think they're really good on the inside in the clinch, sneaking at points. For this guy, that's not the case. This guy fights at mid distance, meaning he's on the line, maybe a little bit forward on the defense, maybe a little bit back on the defense, but in the clinch, he just locks it up because I don't know if he just doesn't have an out in or if he's injured or whatever the case is. But this guy knows to not engage in the clinch. He knows to not let his opponents get too much momentum on him because that's when the flippy kicks start coming out. This guy fights you on the line and he keeps you on the line because he knows that's where he's best. Um, and what I noticed too is what I like about this guy is he's able to use his main weapon and he's building his whole game around his main weapon. It's not just one tech or it's not just a bunch of techniques that he might use at random. He has one main weapon and the rest of his game sprouts from that weapon. And because of that, it's easier to come up with game plans. It's easier to come up and force your opponent to do things you want them to do because you've conditioned them with that front leg so often. And so we're going to take a look at each one of these fights, these three fights, and we're going to take a look at what he does well and how you guys can take that into your own game. Okay, so yeah, so the first fight we have here is against Ramnarong from Thailand. This guy is a personal hero of mine because I watched his fight live against Taehoon Kim in the 2017 World Championships, and dude, this guy's footwork is outstanding. I mean, Taehoon beat him in the semifinals, but that was a if you guys want to watch a good fight, watch this guy. Let's highlight this guy's name right here. Semifinals against Kim Tae-hoon. Man, that was if you guys want to see how to use footwork to manipulate an opponent, that's the match to watch. That is I've seen this guy's footwork in multiple tournaments and it's always on point. It's always fast and he's like a reason to watch Taekwondo. But in this match he gets completely smoked by the Iranian. Completely smoked because he didn't he chose a wrong, incorrect defense, and sometimes that's all you get at these high level matches. Is you pick the incorrect defense once, you get hit, and the game's so far away that you try to have to go for like the hail mary shots. Anyway, so let's get started in this one. We know previous information going in. Renron's very fast, very good at footwork, very dynamic player, can spin, can punch, has a very good complete game. Um, Armin Handapour has a very dynamic front leg. Okay, so initially, we'll watch and we'll break it down. Okay,
Looking forward to this matchup here in the under 58
good.
kilograms.
Thailand's immediately starting to
Of course,
try and creep
as
in, put
opposed
pressure on right away.
and
He
taking
knows
the
it's the front leg.
conditioning
He's
and
doing
building that
what he can to get
perfect
around it.
body
Notice
structure.
one something you guys can take away too. The front since the front leg is there,
The
he's
conditioning
making sure the
building that
front leg
perfect
is
body
inactive. He goes in with the knee, not even playing to kick really on this one, and that's just
as the
one way to
contestant
shield yourself
returns
from that is to
to
get
that
that knee in there
conditioning.
and make sure you
That
can't use it.
back leg
There he does it
followed
again.
straight away.
looking for the points on the inside because he knows. I'm not sure if he knows. I'm sure that there's some scouting information, but it doesn't seem like the Iranian player likes to fight on the inside. So that's where he's trying to get his points, and he's doing as much as he can to make sure he's not fighting on the line with this guy because this guy is this guy's freaking amazing fighting on the line. Good job dictating the pace of the match. I feel like that should have been a Gumjung out there for being out, but you know whatevs. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, it hit very fast on this flick, flick, flick face. Let's watch that again for you guys who want to see that slow-mo. Flick, 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 face. Got him. Actually, no, it was a body shot. Body shot, you're right. My fault. Good. Thailand's trying to make what he can happen in the clinch. He knows that's where he's not going to fight this guy off the line. He's doing an excellent job. What I like seeing here was he initially countered. Sorry, that's my phone. What the hell? He's initially countering this guy off the line and with the punch. He's trying to handle that front leg with his hand, coming with the punch right after. What I'll break it down later. What I would have done, but notice that too. He's in this instance. Look at all the ways he's trying to shut down the front leg. Coming straight in with another punch. I think this is where he blows the lead. He had the mistake there, and then so what happened here was he had the mistake of he didn't have control of the front leg when going to punch, and sometimes that happens. But when the leg is still up, most players don't have this dynamic ability to do that, to bring that up at that kind of an angle. That is really crazy to do that. Which is initially is fine. Then he goes in for another punch and isn't really looking for a kick. It doesn't seem like because I feel like he would have braced him faster if he was looking for the point. He was looking for the punch. Iran kind of in a panic mode because he knows he's on the edge, doesn't want the gumjung to happen. Starts getting out of the corner right away. Out of the corner and boom. Good. What I noticed here too, so in this first, how long has it been? First minute, Thailand has been taking the fight for like the whole 50 seconds, pretty much 50 to 53 seconds into Iran's face. He's just going straight in, like, dude, you better be ready because I'm coming every 2 to 3 seconds. After that, I'm sure the coach and I'm sure he's like, dude, if I keep doing this, we're gonna lose. Like that's what happens at the end of this. Everyone's been down that road, and what happens if your opponent dictates the fight is you lose. That's what happens. Iran knows that, immediately starts taking himself off the line, going for initial shots on his end, and Thailand is not prepared for Iran to come out swinging. Here, that's why this one catches him. I mean, I'm sure if Thailand was ready and Thailand was defensive and set that way, that wouldn't have hit. He evades this one. This one, not ready at all. Thailand's trying to look to come into the front leg and was not ready for Iran to be off the line with it. So the way these ones work out in Grand Prix, we know that there's resets later. We'll finish the first round just Gumjung for canceling the fight. But Ramrao is still trying to make it happen through the punch. Nice body shot. Trying to get the spins in. Trying to get his Notabons on there. Good. Now, oh, kind of low. Now, what I may have done differently as a Rabnarang or someone coaching Rabnarang is the one time to the head, that hook, that small hook kick to the head, I don't think will come that often. So what you could do to vary it up, because Ramrang before that was like straight punch, then come in straight punch, then come in straight punch. Another way you could vary that is mix up the kind of punches you're leading into. You could do a cut into the punch, like the shield, the blocking with your leg into the punch. You can get your hand on it first and then in the punch, or the slide punch. He was initially only doing the first two. You could mix up the third into there, mix with a spin kick to make Iran's job of identifying what's coming at him a lot harder. And I think going back into that kind of variable attack, that multi-variable attack against Iran may have helped. But in this case, it looks like that wasn't a call by the coach. But I mean, at 7-16, I feel like there's always a fighting chance, but this one is probably already in the bag, and they might just try and make it up next round. So what they're trying to do here is they're trying to have Thailand right now is actually trying to test how he can spin and Iran's counters for the
Gets
spin.
a headshot on the way through
So
there.
he's trying again. Notice he's
Falls
not going for the
to
punch anymore.
41.
They're trying to beat it with
Headshots
spins to
flying
catch
in
up in
from
points.
Hadipur. Silver
Um,
3. And a bit of a
wow,
storm here.
those none
Last
of those are
20 to
cold.
go.
Ramnarong is really just trying to go make sure that leg doesn't come up against him.
Thailand under pressure. Volume up.
I don't think
Strong.
anything much. Yeah, nothing really else happens here. That's a lot of blows to the leg, man.
Format. Was
Next fight, next round.
with
So I
selection.
think I'm gonna let this
Good
play out.
back kick.
I'll just let this play out.
Almost ekes ahead
Iran
before he
knows
heads
same
for
thing.
to get the
Don't let
answer.
Thailand dictate the pace.
Tries again with a swing and a miss.
Thailand's kind of going for that Hail
Seems to
Mary
throw
shot,
himself in this conversation,
and
but Hadipur
since Thailand is down, or Thailand's down by 1 round, um, Iran kind of has this information and knows that Thailand's probably gonna be aggressive about it. Makes it a little bit, just a little bit easier now to go for those headshots. If you know your opponent's coming in, those immediate headshots, dude, those are gold. And Iran does a great job doing that.
starting as he means to go on. Looks very sharp. Looks very sharp. He'll be a
Good.
danger.
What I like it too immediately, it's not after 3 points, I'm gonna sit back, relax, and defend until this guy tries to get points on me. Iran
Follow up
sets up
looks
and
very sharp.
starts dictating the pace of the match again.
He'll be a
That puts offensive pressure on Thailand. He's not able to fully think about the attack anymore and make sure he's never relaxed. It drains his energy faster because not only does he have the mounting pressure of being behind, he has the pressure of you getting in his face.
danger for the gold medal in this tournament.
And they're really not that committed to attacks either. He's really just one attack, pretty safe about it.
As you say, that gold medal comes with the
We're gonna break down more of Iran's
$70,000
defense and the way he holds
Tries
the
the back
line more
kick,
often.
leaves a space for the head
Um,
kick.
I'm gonna fast forward so you guys can kind of see what happens in the score here.
And soon to be out is the
So what happens is a lot in this round. You guys can watch this fight for your own. We have a lot of material to cover, so we're not gonna watch this one as much. What happens is Thailand tries to spin around the front leg to make up in points what Iran's doing to his head. However, Iran knows this, has already built this into his game, and goes, when people spin against me, I'm just going to go for your head. And that's why the score is 14-1 and not vice versa, where Thailand's scoring underneath. I think Thailand's trying like a variation, maybe what Abugash was doing, but Ramdarong isn't as accurate maybe as Abugash is right now, or something's funny with the sensor. But whatever the case, the game plan for Thailand was to spin. It was not effective. The lead guy got away, and there's really no way for him to make it up. In my opinion, the punch was working. You just need more variations on it. Like you could go in with your leg up first and then punch. You can mix that up with a spin and then set that up for the punch and then on the inside game. I mean, there was only one time where um, Iran scored on the inside against Thailand. Every other time has been Thailand, Thailand, Thailand. So I really think they should have stuck with that game plan. Maybe in the future, who knows? These guys have Olympic level athletes. I'm sure they know what they're doing. But that's just my read on this fight. The next fight is going to be of interest to a lot of you guys because especially these next two fights, as you can see, both opponents here are a head. I wouldn't say a full head, but like these guys are a lot taller than Iran is, and Iran's standing against both these guys and dictates the fights. This guy's just incredible. So anyway, what we're watching here is we're gonna break this down a little bit more.
super stuff.
Oh, that's first round. I spoiled that a little bit for you guys. Do we have to analyze first round knowing what happens? It's a lot of just poking off the line. We can watch some of it. We'll watch the latter half, so we not to take up too much of your guys' time.
He's taking top position here in the centre, trying to use those long legs. The taller of the two, not by much.
Good. So for most of this match so far, Iran has been kind of mellow. He initiates enough to not get called on the gumjung, but hasn't really went super offense like he did in the last round. They're kind of feeling each other out. I think mostly so he can get the read on Spain and how fast Spain is, what he likes to do, get that information to his coach, goes back to the coach to make a game plan. Wow, nice back kick. And you'll notice too that Iran kind of varies between going on offense, staying in place for his defense, going forward with his defense, and sliding back. He changes those variables up many times, and but the one he does most often is he stays in place. And what that does, and what it kind of forces everyone else to do. Let me check my notes here. Yeah, what it forces people to do is they kind of have to kick. It makes it very hard to guess where he is. And while he's not doing that footwork wise, he is doing that defensive wise, and that's something I'm a proponent of. If you're smaller, you have to make the taller person guess where you are. You can't. You're in like your defense can't be a single variable. It can't be the more variables you have on defense as a smaller fighter, um, like it's vastly way more important. Like a taller guy doesn't need to have as many, I would say, just because his legs are longer, so he can cover more distances. And how would I put that best? Like if you're taller, you have the option to just kick to the head when they come in. Like that is a viable defense that they have to deal with at all times. If you're smaller because they have longer range, you need to put yourself in advantageous positions to be effective, if that makes sense. Because if they kick and you kick at the same time, obviously your leg's not as long as theirs. They might score. Your leg might not even reach. That's why it's so important for you to have different variables on your defense to make the to make the tall person shoot um, misjudge the distance more often, so you have more opportunities.
Intimidating, strong, good in any distance. Just an overall, world-class nation.
So if you're watching Iran, he mixes it up between some small offense, some defense, and then Gumjang, and then varying it by being in place. I'm not. I think it's one more body shot and a Gumjang, or does he get his headshot in here? Iran kind of turn it up a little bit. I don't really think. Well, how did they get the next point here? No. Oh, it's a body shot and Gumjang. Let's see what happened in the exchange. Oh, it's a cut kick. Well, it happens. I mean, he tried to. He didn't have full control of the leg when he punched. Happens. Okay, next round. Did I read? I took most of my notes on the next one on him versus Kim Tae-hoon because I thought that was the best one. Okay. So what they gathered, I'll just we'll just watch it and then I'll let you know what the game plan was as we're doing it. Or actually, no. You know what's better? I'm gonna tell you right now what I saw, and then you guys can watch it so you can see it in action versus you having to rewind the tape. Okay, so in the second round, what Iran had figured out was a tall player, and usually this happens a lot, with the exception of like a couple of fighters, is usually a tall person is looking to cut and push the offense. However, when the tall person, they noticed in the first round when Spain was on defense, Spain did not really have a retaliation. He had no counter kick. He's mostly just Hujin, Hujin, Hujin. So Iran dictates the pace of this fight, and he changes targets really quickly. And in general, it's not even like a risk versus reward because Spain isn't even really counter kicking that often when Iran goes in. So it's like all reward, no risk, that situation. So Iran does a good job of pushing him and forcing that fight towards him. Um, in general, Spain doesn't really counter to Iran's head enough. And I think because of that, Iran is way more likely to just come in and do whatever he wants because he's not really scared of getting in the head, hit in the head. Now, to Iran's credit and to Spain's credit, Iran is super fast, meaning that if you mistake or misjudge how deep he's going, your foot may not be able to get there by the time he reaches you already. Um, and that's kind of an X factor specifically for this fighter. So that may be a reason, but what I was saying before holds true. I think if you threaten to his face more often, he's less likely to do that, more likely to fight you off the line. Now you have a pattern, you can adjust to that pattern. Spain fails to do that. So here, well, one, Iran's behind, so obviously he has to push. But two, I don't think Spain expected this much pressure coming out of Iran into this round. Like he really doesn't have that much. So as you can see, this is like the third time he's pressed, and Spain has like maybe one counter kick. Still nothing. Still nothing. That's like the fourth or fifth attack, and Spain is still not doing anything. So that's why Iran's so free to do whatever he wants and to look for the openings. Same thing. Still no response. Still no response. So you guys look. Okay, so the bottom line here is if you press your opponent and you find out they don't have a defense, do what Iran's doing and just get in their face and just keep tapping them. That's why go where they're strong. Just go where they're not as strong and get points there. It's a lot easier, right? I feel like Spain's completely lost about what to do because I think he was in his head. They went back and they mounted how to press against this guy, and Iran is not letting him press at all. So the whole game plan just went out the window. And in fairness too, like Iran is sorry guys. Iran is dictating the pace of this match every 2 or 3 seconds. So Spain has to not only deal with this guy pressing at him, he has to deal with this guy pressing at him and come up with a game plan and manage the ring and focus not getting kicked in the face. Dude, he's still not able. Oh, there we go. Finally, a decent response. 1 minute in. Dude, rant in his face so often. Yeah. So I'm gonna fast forward, see if anything changes in the third round. But it looks a lot like Spain has no retaliation against Iran's front leg here. Oh, we're still going. Oh, nice score. What happened here? Oh, it's a punch. Oh, good. Spain's finally. So Spain's adjustment was to double tap underneath, or to try and double tap. There we go. There we go. Okay, I think that was a gumjung or a punch. Adjustments third round. Good Iran still the one. Okay, so Spain's more responsive now with his front leg. Nice attack. What you notice here too is usually you're like, oh, smaller guy fights on the inside, get on the inside, get as many kicks as possible. In this division maybe, or just maybe he's injured, or I'm not sure what else. He knows his inside game is probably not superior toward the other guys, and so he just shuts it down. If I don't have an opportunity to score, make sure your opponent definitely doesn't have an opportunity to score, if that makes sense. Like that's I mean, it's obviously obvious to say it, but some people inside are like trying to look for half-hearted points. I feel like Iran knows exactly what he's looking for, and he's gonna do it. And he tries to force that scenario over and over and over again, and that's what he's really good at.
Still in his shell. Has he got more to offer down the stretch here? This one for a spot in the final.
Okay, oh, there you go. First time, almost on the head.
This is exactly what Hadipur wants. Forcing him back,
For
forcing him
grabbing?
back,
Wow.
making
Okay.
him come into
Okay.
distance to react. So I think Hadipur, this is his style. This is what he likes.
Nice try.
Likes the fact that the Gamjon was added on the board as well.
Now there's more threat to the head. Iran doesn't seem that scared of it though. Maybe it's for that specific reason that if you overshoot like that, he's just gonna hit you in the body. Maybe that's what Iran's defense is against that. Wow, nice punch.
Both fighters really wanting to get into that final, and Tortosa now he's not standing still. He's not relying on his cover. He's found that extra gear. He now knows he has to make this into a battle, into a fight.
The battle it is, and the fight is on
There you go.
as we move into the last minute of this one. Jesus Tortosa Cabrera in blue, back leg battles in.
So you guys may notice, Iran right now is doing a flick 1, flick 2, or like a 1-2. How would you counter that? What Spain was trying to do is she's trying to clash on the front leg, so Iran clash the front leg, so Iran is not stable enough to execute the second kick. Ideally, what you do is, how do we put this? So Iran isn't sure if his first or second kick will hit. As if you're set in your defense or you're set in your quote unquote trap offense, the first time you pull your knee up to go against their first flick, you're gonna know that all you're doing is displacing. So you really shove that leg out there, and once his leg is displaced, that's where you shoot for your second shot. If that makes sense. Because if you go 1 for 1, his leg's coming back a second time. And if it's not strong enough, he's going to be imbalanced to do that second kick. So therefore, your first kick or your first leg up or flick against their flick must displace his leg in order to create opportunity for you to score. Otherwise, you're going to both be clashing, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not advantageous to you. So once again, if someone's coming at you with a flick flick or a flick flick flick, or defensively two kicks, then you need to clash on the first one, displace, and then you try and shoot your second kick before they are stable and balanced. Spain's kind of doing that right now by clashing on the first leg and then looking for a follow up after that. So that's another variation you can do. But just for those of you guys out there who aren't sure how to counter the 1-2, that's one of the viable options. Anything? Oh, he gets another point off Gumjan. Wait, wait. It was 12-12, right? No, it wasn't. He just scored. Okay, so no, he was behind. Sorry, I got lost in my train of thought. Forgot what was happening in the match. Anything? Okay. Still going. Oh, grabbing. Okay. What else happens here? Both of these guys are a little bit tired, but Iran's maintained the offense to make sure. So why is Iran attacking here? For those of you guys who aren't sure, he's not attacking because I'm pretty sure he knows that Spain is thinking about the offense and Spain is down. That's usually a good time to attack is when your opponent's not thinking about how to defend. That's the obvious reason. He's not sitting back on his points, which I like because a lot of people do that and then they lose fights. And I'm a big proponent of not sitting back on your points when you're ahead. I feel like you should be playing like Iran, where you're taking the fight to them still and trying to get points.
A little bit wild.
Happens. What happened here? Why did he get scored on? One, two, three, one. Oh, maybe Spain's pod jockey is very good. I mean, also chance point. Also, he was doing the flick cut kick with his back leg. I think what he thought was Spain was gonna. He made the bad guess. Well, it was an educated guess. He just guessed wrong. I would say that there's a higher chance Spain's gonna come in here because he's near the edge. So the probability of Spain coming in now is higher than when he was in the middle because he's near the edge. Makes sense? Now what he does is he tries for a head kick right off the line because statistically or like probability speaking, the chances of Spain staying there or going forward was very high. He went to the head. Spain figured he had enough distance behind him to slide back and kick, and that's how this score happened. I would not fault Iran for that kind of decision making. I mean, if he really wanted to make it secure, he could have slid in and then tried for an out in to make sure to see if Spain slid back when you're going to slide in out in. If Spain slides back when you slide into out in, you're still safe. Nothing's happened. If he slides in, he stays there. He slides in. If you slide in, he stays there. He slides in, you slide in. You're out in set already, and so that would have been maybe a kind of safer decision. But I mean, this was not an uneducated guess. This wasn't a random. Let's try for a headshot here. This was calculated. Good decision was made. It just so happened that Spain did the 1 in 10 thing and slid back toward the edge of the ring.
A little bit wild.
So I would not fault Iran for that decision. I think that was a pretty good call on his part. What I like too is Iran's still pressing the fight. I'm not sure why that call was made, but hey, you know what? Breaks the game, man. I'll take it. Oh, card review. I would call card review on that too, because that's the whole game point right there. Or are they testing for the headgear? Maybe. All right, what can we learn from these guys now? Oh, it stayed. Okay, so no call on the gum jump there. Wow, very, very good job finding that point. Good. So Iran's still attacking. Note that, please, for players. When you're ahead, there's 33 seconds left on the board. It's not the time to sit back and give your opponent 33 seconds to try and score on you. This is still, I want to say, like 27 seconds of you trying to find points. And he does. And it kind of puts the nail in the coffin. Boom, on that one. This guy's dynamic front leg is, holy cow, dude. That's a different level of, that's like Taiwan's Taipei fighter. The minus 67, I think, minus 68. Dude, that guy's front leg's also freaking accurate. Nice cut.
Is it going to be the same?
Good, going straight back. He's not giving Spain any time to think about it. Now he's kind of more on full defense.
Killing the clock.
He has 2 points to give. It's better to give two, like 1.5 gum jungs or a gum jung. Even then, even here, I'm trying to drill this home because I see this happen so often. Even here, 5 seconds left. He's not like, let's sit back and try and defend this. He's taking advantage of the decision. Like, the calculation is this: I know he's thinking about offense. Therefore, he's probably not thinking about defense. Therefore, if I attack him now, he's probably not going to do anything, thus stalling out more time, or in a potentially like ideal situation, I get more points, putting him further behind. Okay, now 3 seconds left. He's manipulating the footwork, runs away with the win. Great decision making on this guy's side. Now we get to the meat of the situation, him versus Kim Tae-hoon. They met in the 2017 World Championships. The rules are a little bit different then, so I'm not analyzing that one. This is the most recent one, so let's go into this guy.
But it is the final time here.
All right. Okay. So I am going to play this a little bit faster than normal just because I feel like I took a lot of time on the last one.
Has an opportunity.
What to note here, though, previous information going into the fight. You have to note the previous information. This is normal speed? Yeah, this is normal. Okay, neither him nor Kim Tae-hoon are really kicking that fast right now, and it's kind of relaxed. Now, what do we know from this guy? He's good off the line. What do we know about Kim Tae-hoon? His legs are super long. So going back that much, probably not a viable option. Also, fighting in the clinch, Kim Tae-hoon can out in really flexibly. Probably not a good idea for this guy. Great job locking it up. Kim Tae-hoon's job is to find a way to score at mid-range and or to get this guy to go backwards to run into one of his head kicks, etc., etc. This guy's job is to create the scenario where he is best at fighting right here off the line and sometimes on offense.
Very good defense by both athletes.
Now I want you to note how Iran's playing the defense and offense right now. It's very relaxed. It's not absurdly fast like we were watching last game. This round so far has been more of a kind of feeling out my opponent. How are things going? That one's kind of fast. Now things are starting to turn up as they got a little bit more of a feel for each other already. I want to say too, because these guys are both highly scouted fighters already, I think what they're trying to do in the first round is to figure out if the coach or the player has anything special in the bag just for this guy. Like, let's say this guy's front leg is here. Let's say Kim Tae-hoon developed specifically for this guy a special, like some kind of technique. They're trying to figure out to make sure that's not happening. Like, let's say there's a really weird hook kick to the body that works. Probably in like somewhere in the first round, they're gonna test it to see if it does work, and if it doesn't work, we have the overall strategy to still play. But if it does work, we can drive that thing home until Iran figures out how to deal with it. So I think right now they're kind of feeling each other out. At least that's usually what I'm cautious for, and I think that's what a lot of high players are cautious for. That's why sometimes in the first round they're like more feeling each other out, just to make sure that they're not sitting on some kind of giant ace in the hole.
No scores on the board, as you said. A mirror image.
Good. So notice his defense for the most part has been in place, and a lot of his attacks have been more toward the body. In place defense, sometimes moving back with immediate counter kick, and then the third thing he does is a lot of cut kick straight to the body. Sometimes it's a flick, sometimes not. Small slide back, intercept in place.
As we move into the last 40 of the first round here.
Just out of range, goes back, body shots. That's the first time. I think that was the first attempt at the headshot, and he saw Kim Tae-hoon switching and went for it.
Good, nice front leg headshot by Hadipour.
And why was that so surprising? One, because he hasn't really been that offensive, and when he has been that offensive, it hasn't been really that fast or that much forward. It's been mostly in place. When he did go forward, it was a little bit more, I would almost say a little bit more relaxed. On that one, it was a burst of speed, a burst forward, and it was also while Kim Tae-hoon was switching. So good connect.
Taking his time and then exploding. He has some incredible speed.
You hear Jay Jones in the background. Incredible speed. Kim Tae-hoon's doing what he can right now, trying to use his range to kick around his leg almost. And if you watch Also something Iran does really well here. I'm gonna see if I can catch it properly. Let's play this back in slow motion so I can do it. Let's show you guys. Look how folded and bent Iran's leg is. Is there an engage after this? Let's play it at 50. Oh, nope, that's not it. Iran's leg is covering, like, if you think about when you're fighting, you're sideways, your leg can come out on the far right, in the middle, on the far left. Iran's leg is covering two of the three sections because it's so flat. It's not slightly vertical where a leg can slide up past it. It's not 45 where a leg can slightly go up slightly past it. It's it's like freaking horizontal, and he's occupying a lot of space, and that's why Taehun, when he kicks, is underneath it because he's covering that area. It can't rise above it. And then even then he goes for a point too. So good on it. Good on Iran's part.
Force the Gamjon, but the Iranian wise to that move. And the fight beginning to just bubble
Intercept in
under here.
place.
Last 10 seconds or so in this first round.
Ooh, nice try. Why was that attempted? Why do you guys think that one was attempted? Because the last one was in place. The second attack was forward. The third one, which he hasn't thrown in a little while already, so there's been. It's like I show you the ace card, and then I show you the other cards, and then suddenly you show the ace card again. So that one would have caught a lot of people by surprise because you're switching up the variables so often, and while you're switching up the variables, you're showing him the same thing. So in his mind, like unconsciously, he's kind of expecting the same thing. It's either it's in place, or it's a single shot to the body, or in place, or a single shot to the body. That was a double shot to the head, something he hasn't seen before, um, and it increases the likelihood of it hitting.
Catches the leg there, Kim Tae-hun, on the blind
Uh,
side of the ref, gets away with it twice.
I don't think there's really much else I need to cover.
Well, we gave the big build up to both, of course.
Okay, so now we're going to start moving to the second round. In the second round, what to watch for? The heat turns up in this match a little bit more. There's a mix, like I said earlier, Iran mixes the defense between moving backwards, being in place, intercepting, and sliding forward. But what he does, I think, most often is he's in place. And so, as an opponent, when you're trying to construct a game plan against this guy, most of your attacks and most of what you're trying to do is going to center around him being in place. But he does a great job at making sure you're never really sure, even though he does it more often. He uses that kind of mental conditioning to launch his surprise attacks forward, which catch Kim Tae-hoon a lot. This is something I'd like to start. I kind of call it like a second layer of game. So you have first layer of game is you have this really cool attack. It works on everyone. The second layer of game is like this guy had, or not a second layer. The counter to that is I have this other cool move or defense move, whatever that works against that attack, and so we kind of shoot those at random. The second layer of game is where you have an attack, he knows a defense, and then you know he knows what your attack is, so you adapt to it. And that can be done in variable ways. One, a bunch of different ways. One that's this is like starting to get to higher Taekwondo gaming. Um, One is the way he's doing it right now, where you condition him like I have in place defense. Therefore, to counter in place defense, I kick semi committed. Because he's kicking semi committed and not really too deep, or and because he's kicking semi committed, he's also kind of in place. Therefore, the best counter to that is to double tap to his head or go straight to his head with a burst of speed. That's like second layer gaming. First layer gaming is like I have fast front leg. Then I also have fast front leg, and we try and make that work. So his game is based around his front leg being good and being fast. And everything else, all the counters to that possibility of him being in place and being fast and having that front leg are built around that kind of an offense, if that makes sense. Like I have this one good thing, I have these four weaknesses. I've adapted my game now to cancel out or to adjust for these four weaknesses so that way they're either covered or no longer a weakness. That's what I like most about this guy. I wish I had like a pie chart or a line graph or something to show you guys, but conceptually, if you can get that, then it's really good because it's kind of how you start building your offensive game. It's not just a random series of kicks. Generally, it's good to have some kind of offensive weapon that you can shove in your opponent. Then you can figure out what the weaknesses are to that. either use variations on your single attack to change it up to mix up their defense, or create defenses to counter what counters your lethal attack. Anyway, that's a lot of wordplay.
From that position.
Just go back to what I was saying earlier. In place defense most of the time. Therefore, one of the best counters to in place defense is trying to kick him in place as well using longer reach. Therefore, after the therefore, one of the good attacks to use is straight attacks to your face because you're not expecting them. In place defense. In place defense. In place defense. In place defense. See what I mean? Like, he's kind of conditioning this guy to, like, not really expect anything else when he's on the defense. That's one of the main takeaways, is it's not about just having that fast front leg. He's like right there. He almost hit him with it because most of the time it's been in place and to the body. It's not, Taekwondo isn't just about doing a fancy kick. Taekwondo and fighting in general is about conditioning your opponent to do something or to think something and then capitalizing on them making the mistake of expecting you to do that same thing. It's like a constant layering of, I think he thinks I'm going to do this, therefore I'm going to do this. And then the adjustment is, I think he's going to do this, so he does this. And that's the deeper level of gaming I'm trying to get you guys on, is that it's not just he has a fast front leg and it's super dynamic. It's as he has a fast front leg, like a friggin' fast front leg, and he's using it to condition his opponents to set up better headshots or points for himself. Like, that's the main takeaway. And he does this brilliantly. I mean, I have theoretical counters to maybe work, but dude, at this level, if no one physically can match that, then it is what it is. I mean, Kim Tae-hoo's a world champion, and he did end up losing to this guy. So it's, like I said, it's not about the single shots anymore. Like, the era of weapon changing and creating new weapons is kind of over. There are always new kicks to be invented or new variations on them, but the game is starting to get deeper now because the rules have remained the same, and that's how it is with any game. That's why chess is so deep, because chess hasn't changed in like thousands of years.
Hadipour very good at looking like he's taking a back step, but to me he's waiting for that surprise attack.
Good. I mean, kind of not really a bad decision here. It's more of just Kim Tae-hoon's also really good, but he's been doing front leg the whole time. Shoot a back leg, maybe he's not expecting it. If you saw where it was aimed, it was almost perfectly aimed. We'll put this in slow motion. Perfectly aimed near the bottom of the Hogu, which is one of the best scoring areas there is. Here, reset. It was right here. If that was like an inch or two higher, man, that would have scored for sure. Kim Tae-hoon's also very good at this technique. Dae-hoon is great at this technique too. He's this left leg. He hits this all the time. Great technique. It's what's it called? It's good, and because he hasn't been using it often, it's a good reason to use it.
And a nice sliding shot down the body there as he slips into the lead. 3 points of a gap. And make that 4. Gam Jong given.
Is there anything else on this?
Things change.
Oops. So they're still going at it. Ooh. Look. Also, dude, so I'm more about the setups. I'm more about how does this guy set it up rather than like, look at that fancy kick. I'm way more into how did he set up that fancy kick so I can not only hit this dude with it, but I can hit the next dude and the next dude and the next dude with it. That's what I'm more about. And what I like here, this one was first cut. First cut, nothing happened. Second cut, nothing happened, and there's your face. That's what I'm talking about with conditioning. Like, that's an example of conditioning right there. Cut, nothing happened. Cut, flick face. With a lot of speed too. And also notice there was no speed change on the first kick. Oh, I keep skipping around it. Watch how fast he does the first kick. The second kick is almost the exact same speed as the first one, and then he bursts into the guy's face. Like, dude, this guy's a master at setting up I call it progression theory. He's master at setting up progressions.
picks up the knee
And
picks up a nice push.
I think his defense kind of switched from. I don't know why Kim Tae-hoon started switching to a lot of rear leg kicks and kind of walking in square like that. I think because they're trying to score more on the backside, that's where he scored earlier. But I mean, Iran got a good cut in. And also notice, also if you guys don't know this already, see the way his arm is locked up in there. It's really hard for someone else to get out. So if you guys need some clinch defense or are not good in the clinch and have no idea how to lock it up, that's how to lock it up. You just throw your arm in there and you make an L, and you get close to his body. And be prepared that some people are like kind of freaky and have spaghetti legs and can hit you in the back of the head. So if that happens, you need your other arm free to block the back of your head. But if you want to know how to lock up in a clinch, that's it right there.
Two in a row from the Iranian as we move towards the end of a
Also, I don't do this move, but this is really good at. I've had this move done to me. I don't do it, but this little shove right here, that shove at the very end is it. You do that enough times in a match, and it drains your opponent's stamina. I personally don't do it. For me, I don't know. I think morally, I just don't believe in doing that, but it's not against the rules, and it is allowed, and I feel like it's a gray area. And if you want to use that, I'm here to give you information and what can be done. So that's information, and you can do it if you want to. I personally do not do it though.
the end of a very good
But
second
it does
fight.
drain stamina. I've had it done to me, and
Little to choose
it's
between
annoying.
them, and it's set up really nicely. Iranian tries to
Dude.
finish with it
That's also an example why I'm pretty sure Kim Tae-hoon is
really
king
nicely.
at this. One, two,
Tries to
and like those flippy shots to the head because you're not really sure how much distance he's gonna cover. Iran's not having any of that. Closes it up. All right, let's get to the third round now, guys. Third round, what are we looking for here? Nope, that's a different one. Hold on.
perspectives, but not much of a gap.
All right, so the adjustment, he kind of does this a little bit more second round, but he emphasizes it third round against a single leg kick. Let's say you kick one, they kick one, or etc. One of the counters to that is to do the flick, like I was talking about last match, just 1-2. And Iran kind of does that a lot more this one because he notices Kim Tae-hoon is only kicking single, trying to score underneath or that one shot because the match so far has been 1-1 and 1-1. And so the adjustment for Iran is to 1-2.
And it's incumbent upon him to come forward now. The man in blue.
Points. Yeah, and then I think what they try and do later is Korea adjusts and tries to spin underneath it. Iran very well, like I said, he's very good at covering, and since Iran knows what his weapon is, he knows the weaknesses. He's created weapons to adjust for the weakness. It's kind of like having a foundational game. Once you have a foundational game, you can build your weaknesses around it. You can build variations on it. But it's good to have that cornerstone game or thing that you try and do. If you notice, Kim Tae-hoon's doing a lot of singles here, trying to score that point. 1-1, especially here. 1-1-1-1. So Iran's defense against that is the double flick. I think in my last video with Zhao, also you can see that once it's up there, Zhao's able to get that point and keep it registering because he keeps flicking that kick, and he does that in the last 10 seconds to kind of put the nail in the coffin. Iran's doing a variation of it now, obviously in the middle of the match as a defense against a single kick. That's something you could take into your game as well. Is the double tap into if someone's doing singles against you.
You want to talk about fighting spirit?
Yeah, his attitude to me is
Yeah.
great to watch.
All of his kicks now are double. That was very good. He cut and he moved his leg over.
Yeah,
If I saw that correctly, he moved his leg over to block the kick.
attitude to me is
1-2. Brings it
great
up.
to watch. I love his
And he,
attitude.
dude, it's not like a random chance kick. He straight up brought his leg over to intercept the back kick coming out. Like he knows his weapon and he knows the weaknesses and he's designed other weapons from that base weapon to counter that. Like this guy's game is pretty on point right now, man.
I love his attitude. I do love the way that he fights. He's relentless with that front leg.
Ooh. So he's starting to exchange 1-1 again, and that's where Kim Tae-hoon's taking it. Oh, scored on the backside. What do you know? Nice try. Why did that work? I don't know if this was on purpose or if this is trained, but it was a single, and then a single, and then a single flip. And That's what I'm talking. Like I've been drilling this home this whole time. Like that's like the mental conditioning you put into yourself, so you can use it on your opponents. Is give a look, give the same look, and then give a sudden look, and then give the same look and then sudden change, or give the same look and counter. And it's all based on conditioning your opponent to think a certain thing.
Last minute here in the third round. Did you see that relentless use of the first leg? Gives Hadipur. He's on the front.
Oh, almost. Oh, Kim Tae-hoon was able to get his hands on him initially, and he was kind of. I think he might get a gum jung here. Oh, no gum jung. Okay, he did a good job making sure that that was not open. That's a close one. That was a close one. Kim Tae-hoon almost got that. I think they're both kind of tired. You can see the speed a little bit. Oh, you can see the speed drain out of it a little bit. Kim Tae-hoon just looking for points right now. Not looking for that single double, or straight to the face. Dude, that's I think that's game.
4 points in the lead, 30 seconds to go.
Nice try. Notice he has his hands out, but it's not like to the side. This hand's hooked underneath, man. That he's not going nowhere. It may look like that's relaxed, but this is tense, and he's holding Kim Tae-hoon super close with that one.
Nice. Well, not a nice push, but that's the attitude there. This is a fight. It's a full contact sport.
Dude, oh, Kim Tae-hoon's still looking for it.
It is indeed full contact, and making contact there. Kim Tae-hoon cuts it to 2, tries again with the back leg into the last 20 seconds. Armin Hadipur.
Oh, he got it. I was gonna say it's coming up. It was single to the body, single flick to the head. He makes it look so easy. And oh my god, I want to point it out because to a lot of people like, oh dude, look at this guy's headshot. Like, look at this guy's headshot. I'm not into that, dude. I'm into how did he set it up? How did he set it up? Single to the body, single to the body. Got it. Single flick. Condition your opponent, drill it home. Condition your opponent, drill it home. We'll watch the last 13 seconds. That's kind of a gum jung. I would not suggest doing that. I feel like a lot of people are going to call it. I think it's better for you to just move this guy's hands out of the way. Oh, he's trying. I think he was looking for the in-out crescent kick. He is freaking. They're both super tired. And I'm saying that push, dude. That push on the inside drains the stamina. And there isn't a gum jung for it, and there's not really a rule to not do it. Oh, what a shame. That was close. Oh, that was very close, sir. Oh, imagine that was 2 inches higher. Very close by the Korean world champion right there. Ooh, there it is. So, guys, to recap this video, I know I talked a lot. I'm going to try and cut this really short. Armin Hadipur Seihalani is a world silver medalist. Excellent front leg in both speed, power, and agility. Very good at dictating the pace of the match. Has a foundational game. Has the adjustments around the foundational game. He has a strong front leg. Now he has this weakness and this weakness and this weakness. He has those covered. He knows how to deal with the weaknesses. Not only that, when he's shoving his foundational game in your face, he conditions you to think one thing and then flicks and does something else. From that base game, he's able to do other stuff. That's done in both his lead leg attack, his lead leg offense, or his lead leg weapon, and 2, the distance and the type of defense he uses is in place most often. And from that in place defense, he's able to launch into surprise head kicks or single double, single flick. And so he's excellent at exploiting his main weapon and using it against a lot of people. I think the next layer of game is when someone else has a very strong foundational game. How do they use that? It's going to be how do they use their games and their adjustments to their games against each other, and that's going to lead to the next level of game, and the next level, and the next level. But this guy's on it. I am so happy that I'm sorry I don't see. Let's pull it up. Calvin Yang, thank you so much for recommending this guy. I had not really seen him or watched too much Finn flyweight before this. I've only watched Kim Tae-hoon, well, because he's world champion. But thank you so much for recommending this video. I hope you guys as viewers got a lot from this. If you did, please like or subscribe. That I really appreciate it. I read all the comments, and all the feedback's all really nice and helps me get motivated to keep going. But anyway, guys, that's it for the show. Hopefully you guys learned something, and I'll see you guys next week.